We are halfway home, the radio portion of Miller and Moulton at 29 minutes before the hour. Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Thanks so much for listening, whether it be on Southwest Florida's Fox Sports Radio, streaming us at millerandmoulton.com, or watching us on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. And if you are watching, you see the nice bright smile of one Josh House, who covers the Dolphins for SB Nation, host of the Finsider.com and the Finsider Radio podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Houtz, Houtz. Josh, repeat after us. Tua. Come on now, on the excitement level of 1 to 10, what is this?
100. I mean, this is the most excited Dolphin fans have been in, decades. I'm not sure that a lot of people saw this coming, but it just seems different. I'm excited to get to talk to you guys, as always, in the morning, but this one just feels a little bit different.
All right. First off, I've got to ask you flat out, because you are essentially a reporter covering the Dolphins, but you are also a gigantic Dolphin fan. Do you own a Tua jersey? And if the answer is no, will you be purchasing one today?
I have to be honest, and I have to kind of say this on the part of all Dolphin fans, but many of us ordered that jersey the second it was available, and I'm still waiting for this thing to come. I ordered my two daughters a jersey a few weeks ago, and it came within a week, but I ordered mine to a jersey back in May, and a lot of us are still waiting for those to arrive. So I've ordered two jerseys. I actually have two on the way, but whether I'll get those before that first start, I think that's the $1,000,000 question all Dolphin fans are waiting on. It's sad. It's very, I understand with everything going on, but it's been months and we're just waiting.
Well,
I blame the manufacturer. I'm not blaming you.
Yeah,
you
really.
buy the jersey. Give me the damn jersey. I'm on your side, Josh. I'm totally on your side. And I love the fact that you got one for your daughter, because, David and I were talking about this the last segment, and I did a podcast with some guys yesterday, and one of which is having a daughter, and he's a Bengals fan. I'm like, you got to buy her the jersey. Because the father-in-law is a Cowboys fan. It's like, yeah, let him buy the little cute cheerleader outfit. As soon as he leaves, you take it off and you put the jersey back on. And you have the opportunity, Josh, to raise your daughter rooting for a winning franchise. And that, as a father, has to be a joy that maybe your parents could never have had with you.
And that's exactly right. And I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about that, because for all the mediocrity that Dolphin fans have had to fight through, and the 7 and 9, 8 seasons, things just seem like it's trending in the right direction. For as excited as we are about Tua, as excited as we are for what that means for the offense, I think what's most surprising to me is how well that defense has played over the last few weeks. It's all slowly starting to come together. And, I keep saying it. I thought 2020 was kind of the hors d'oeuvre before the entree, the amuse-bouche before your big steak comes. And the Dolphins compete in 2021. It seems like they're getting ready to compete, for these last 10 games. They're very winnable. The schedule's pretty nice. And, I think you're right. I think things are starting to trend in the right direction. And my girls are going to have a lot better upbringing rooting for Tua Tagovailoa and the Miami Dolphins than maybe I did rooting for, Chad Henne and the John Becks and Cleo Lemons, and, the list goes on and on.
All right. Let's zero in on the line of scrimmage, though. They have been fortunate the last couple games. They faced a depleted Niners team, and they faced the Jets. Big boy football returns in a week and a half with Aaron Donald and company, and the Rams' offensive line is also playing very well. The Dolphins have suffered some injuries on the defensive line. The offensive line is still young and a work in progress. Are the Dolphins at the line of scrimmage? Josh, their running game's pedestrian. Are they ready to take that next step? Because I don't think they are, Josh. I think that their line of scrimmage play is no better than a 500 or 7-9 team. I actually think that some of the pieces around the line of scrimmage are beginning to fill in.
Yeah, and I completely agree. I don't know if you kind of saw it was a cluster on Twitter yesterday. Mina Kimes and I believe it was Dan Orlovsky on NFL Live. They mentioned, this is the wrong timing. The Dolphins' offensive line is terrible, worse than football. And Dolphins Twitter wanted none of that. Good friends of mine, 3 Yards Per Carry, it's a podcast on the 5 Reasons Sports Network. They were going back and forth. And I think the biggest thing that we just need to realize is, last year, this was the worst offensive line in football. And you see the pieces starting to come together. are they ready? They better be. I mean, you're playing Aaron Donald. You're getting ready to throw Tua Time Baby out there, and the whole premise behind the success that you're going to have once he's in the lineup is keeping him upright and healthy. We know that the Dolphins have 3 rookie offensive linemen that could be starting once Austin Jackson's back in the lineup. So I like the pieces in place, but again, each week they're slowly starting to progress, and like you said, they have to be ready because you cannot let Aaron Donald get a free shot on Tua. You cannot let that defensive line disrupt, the run game. Like you said, it's been pedestrian. We need to see more out of that after this bye. But I think it's all slowly starting to come together, and I think that they might have had this plan in place ahead of time. They might have saw that bye week as the perfect transition. And, why not now? But, yeah, they better be ready because Aaron Donald's coming to town.
Yeah, and that bye week was a few weeks later than anticipated with all the schedule jockeying, and it's now moved up a little earlier. And, Josh, I'm with you that they were always thinking about the bye. But, we have Orlando Alzagari on a little bit as well, as along with you, to talk Miami sports and Dolphins specifically. And I thought Orlando made a good point a couple of weeks ago that Fitzpatrick was helping train an offensive line. He has the experience to help rookie linemen in the huddle or during a game that Tua won't have. Are you worried at all that putting Tua in could slow down the progression of this offensive line? Because at the end of the day, Tua is going to need these guys to keep him upright, not just this year, but for the next 3.
I mean, it's definitely a concern that you have to have. And I think, to me, the biggest thing it goes back to is, Brian Flores. I mean, no coach has been perfect, but so far every decision he made, it seems like it's well orchestrated. And, I mean, so far, knock on wood, it seems like the Dolphins know what they're doing. So I'm going to put trust in them that they think that he's going to go out there. And, he isn't going to be that same veteran leader that Ryan Fitzpatrick is. He isn't going to be able to help some of these younger guys, with this offense as much because, let's be honest, I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick's been in the league 17 years, speaks Chan Gailey's offense fluently. But what, excites me most is, Ryan Fitzpatrick's not going anywhere. He's still going to be on the sideline. And while Chan Gailey's up in that box, he's going to be down there, telling Tua what he sees on the field, helping him get through it. So I don't exactly know what Tua's going to be like in the huddle. I mean, again, he's a rookie. This will be his first start. Everyone's excited. But I think, for what Fitzpatrick has in leadership and things like that, he was lacking a little bit. They did leave some meat on the bones, as Joe Schott said, offensively. So I think they see Tua as coming in here and, from a skill set, he can make throws that I think Ryan Fitzpatrick can't. Will he have those rookie struggles? Absolutely. But you kind of got to weigh the good and bad. And I think seeing what Tua can do over these last 10 games, seeing what he can bring to that offense, I think that was more important than, continuing down the same path of, getting down there. One game, you kicked 5 field goals. There was still some work to be done. I think the Dolphins see Tua Time Baby as that perfect player to come in here and take this offense to the next level.
He's Josh Houts. He covers the Dolphins for SB Nation's TheFinsider.com. He's host of the Finsider Radio podcast. Follow Josh on Twitter at Houts, Houtz. Josh, you just threw in a little fragment into a sentence there in which you said, I think Dolphin trusts Brian Flores and his decision-making. And I would even want to take it a step further. When Chris Greer got promoted a year and a half ago, he kind of, by Dolphin, got lumped in with the 3 or 4 regimes that came before him because he was a part of them. He was not final decision maker, but he was a part of them. And so, therefore, there was not a lot of confidence in Chris Greer outside of Orlando Alzagari. And there was not a lot of confidence then in the guy he hired because of some of the decisions that had been made in the last 15 or so years. Do you think with what has taken place in the last year and a half, because we're seeing it with other franchises, Josh, in which the fan base does not have confidence in the decision makers, do you think for the first time since probably Parcells' first year that Dolphin has confidence in their decision makers?
I do, and I think like with anything, if you're on Twitter, and I always use Twitter because that's kind of where I do most of my Dolphins conversating. But I mean, when you're on there, you can see them bickering back and forth. Some people love Brian Flores, some they're still a little skeptical. Same with Chris Greer, but you gotta love what they're doing. And when you look around the NFL, when you see what they're doing with all these draft picks, I mean, you see these rookies coming in and making an immediate impact. Some that the experts and analysts said, Austin Jackson, too raw to start. He's out there looking pretty solid. You got Solomon Kinlan looking like a mauler, Robert Hunt fitting in there. So, I mean, Chris Greer, I think he's done a great job when he brought Brian Flores in. And like you said, for right or wrong, he was lumped into those other regimes, and I myself even gave him credit for that Charles Harris pick, whether it was all him or not. I mean, I do think he had some say in that. And, no GM is going to hit 100%, but I do feel like when you look around the NFL, when you see the trajectory that the Dolphins are taking, I mean, again, this is year 2 with Flores, and it just seems different. And the Dolphin fan in me has to take a step back and, temper my expectations, because we saw Adam Gase make the playoffs. We saw Tony Soprano make the playoffs. And, those guys, in my opinion, rest in peace, Tony Soprano. He was one of my favorite coaches. But, it just seems different now with Brian Flores. They're out there, they're being competitive, and it just seems like, for once, things are finally headed in the right direction. I just hope it continues, because it's year 2 of Brian Flores, and they're 3-3, and why not now?
Final question from me, Josh, is our poll question. Tua starting, we know that. If I told you that if they were to leave Fitzpatrick in, the Dolphins would make the playoffs, or we go with Tua, what would you vote for?
Man, that's tough, because I would vote for – I probably would have voted for the playoffs, to be completely honest. I mean, as much as I want to see Tua, and as much as – I mean, if it were my decision, I'd probably pull the trigger and start it Tua week 1 if, things were – the offensive line came together. But, I mean, the playoffs would have been nice, and I think Ryan Fitzpatrick was playing pretty good football, at least complementary to the way the defense was playing. And, who knows? It probably would have been a wild card loss, but I'm excited to see what Tua can do. But playoffs would have been nice.
See? Josh, thanks so much for your time and your insight. We always appreciate it. All the best to you covering the Dolphins for SB Nation. And, things will be different beginning with a week from Sunday when they play the Rams. Josh, as always, all the best to you and your family. Stay safe.
Same here. Thanks again for talking, and it's Tua time, baby. I'll talk to you guys in a week or 2.
Fins up, baby. You can feel it. Thanks, Josh. Look at that.
It's Tua time, baby.